But as you get older, there are some things that kind of change. As you mentioned, whenever you're kind of young in your career, there's not really a whole lot that you think about, right? So whenever you get your first offer letter, primarily the only thing you really notice is the money, right? It's the salary. How much am I going to be making? Where am I going to be at, right? Is it affordable to live there, kind of thing? But as you get older, there are some things that kind of change and progress. And so what are maybe some things that you didn't consider whenever you first looking in your career, right? First job right out of school. Whereas some things that whenever you went into an interview or whenever you were talking to them about an offer, what are some of the things you're asking for, right? Is it more PTO? Is it, the benefits? Is it, the work-life balance? Is it the ability now we have work from home, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of those things that changed?
Yeah. I'd say that there are some very specific, detailed things that were things that I asked a lot of questions about. PTO, we talked about that. That was a really big one. What's the PTO arrangement? For the first time, when I came out of college, I didn't care about healthcare at all because I was under 26. I was still on my parents' insurance.
Right.
So I busted out the Excel spreadsheets and I was going line by line and looking at what the cost out of pocket would be for my family, and it's pretty good. I'm really excited about my new healthcare program. Actually, it's I mean, not that I'm coming from a bad one, but I'm excited to move into a new, for the first time, get into a high deductible health plan and go into the HSA route. It is something that I thought about for the first time that actually makes sense, which is exciting for us. That's something I thought about. I spent a lot of time thinking about my commute, which was interesting. Yeah, because I've done. I thought a little bit about my commute, and I picked where I lived in my first job relative to my commute. But this was interesting because I had a current commute and I'd have a new commute. And this new commute, I'm actually very excited to share that I'm actually going to be biking to work. So that's why it was something that I thought about.
That close, yeah.
4 miles. I got myself an electric bike. I'm careful. I'm going to rock my high vis vest from the construction site.
Right.
Just so that everybody sees me in the dusk light. But I thought about my commute more than I'd ever thought about it before. And I thought about the relationship with, I spent a lot of time asking questions about the team and how the team structure is. And I imagine I asked those questions as well, but I'm in a situation where I'm already in a great team. I have the people I interface with. I know who I interface with. I like the people I work with. I go to work every day and I'm really excited to go to work every day. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to leave this situation where I work with phenomenal people that I absolutely love going to work every day, I better be going to a place where people like each other too.
Right.
And I got comfortable that people like going to work as well. And then I think the last thing, and I thought about this, I've always thought about this from the very beginning, but it's something that I had to think about differently was, okay, what's the upward mobility from this role? And I've always had that mentality. I've always been asking what the upward mobility from this role is, but this time it was like a thing where I said, hey, this is what I already see for myself on my current path. If I do not leave Zachary, this is what I see for myself. And I have advocates. I have people that speak out for me, people that know my work product, and that will help me in the long term get to my career goals, which is I want to be impacting profit and loss, making big decisions to impact the bottom line of the business. And I was upfront about that with the people at HDR. I was like, that is my long-term career aspiration. And I am in a position where I think I can get there. What is the programs that you have in place here that can also contribute to that goal? And then they were able to make me comfortable around that as well. But it was similar questions in the sense of, okay, what's the future look like? But it was more specific. Yeah, right. Which is more specific than it's ever been before, which was interesting.
Yeah. And I think, you get, for instance, like you get a mechanical engineering degree and there's so many industries, right? And I mean, just off the jump right out of school, there's aerospace and there's construction and then there's, design and, all these different nuances or all these different sort of industries that you can kind of jump into that you can't pinpoint, okay, I want to go into like the aerospace world, but do I want to go into like the manufacturing? Do I want to be a part of like the R&D team on the manufacturing side or, And there's so many doors that you have open whenever you come out with an engineering degree that you're like, you don't know where to go. But now, 5 years in the future, you get to say, hey, this is kind of the career path. This is what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
This is where I want to go. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's one of those things where I kind of have reached that point in my career where I know what I'm doing. I like what I'm doing. I'm done it. I know I like it. So I want to understand what the scope of that's kind of leading into the question. I just spent a lot of time asking about the mechanics and the scope of the role. I've always asked that. I asked that when I was first applying for a job because I Googled it and they said, oh yeah, ask about what the day-to-day is like. And I was like, what's the day-to-day like? Now, this time it was, okay, so how do I interface with this? How do I interface with that? How does this team support me? How does this team support me? What procedures are in place to help me achieve X? Hey, I need to know, in this role, I know I need to get X, Y, Z done. What processes are already in place that help me get that done? What kind of tools do you have that will enable me to do a good job? Right. So it was just a different cadence of questions. And then it's interesting because I got to the end of the interview and I asked them, so is there anything else that you need to know about me that would give you the confidence to give me a job offer? And by the time we were done, the guy who would be the director that I'm a report up to, is like, no, I know what you've done. I looked at your resume, the questions you've asked, back your resume. You've asked the questions that make me feel confident that you know the scope of the role and what you need to do to be successful. So no, I don't have any questions for you, really. Those types of questions inspired the confidence in them that they move fast. I was honestly hoping for it to move a lot slower because I had some vacations planned.
Yeah.
But yeah, they moved so much faster, and it was kind of refreshing.
Yeah. I miscommunicating. I just made a pilot, then they threw me on the stations. Now I'm not complaining. My thoughts get complicated. I cannot explain in lameness. Never losing focus because I ain't chasing payments. Still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries. Thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify. They put me on the station.